Hello aspirants, welcome to Pragyān Veda IAS. In continuation with the themes that we're discussing under the Prelims Synthesis initiative, we have the important amendments of Constitution of India under polity. So let's discuss on this. So we will take up various amendments and try to discuss certain important pointers under each, and towards the end we can take up some important questions asked in the previous years by the UPSC and try to solve them. So first we have the first constitutional amendment which came in 1951, which included the ninth schedule, right? If you remember, we discussed in the last theme of different schedules of Constitution of India. Under ninth schedule various acts were kept so that there was no meddling up thing happening in the future, basically related to zamindari and all other acts, right? So it also inserted various other articles and clauses under it. Article 15(4), which meant for giving reservations for socially and educationally backward classes, and Article 19(6) were also inserted. And also changes were brought in the right to property. If you remember, Article 31 was there, which was the right to property, which means right to property was a fundamental right then. Eventually it was removed and made it as just a legal right under Article 300A. So basically this is important for first amendment, happened in 1951. Okay, and next one we have is 7th amendment, happened in 1956. So basically the reorganization of all the states that happened based on linguistic grounds. Various states were created, right? First one being the Andhra Pradesh, right? So, and introduction of various union territories. These were all entailed within 7th amendment. Important. Then there was 24th amendment happening in 1971. This came as a retaliation to the then Golaknath case, right? If you remember, we had the Shankari Prasad case, then Sajjan Singh cases. There was a tussle between DPSP and fundamental rights, and in the Golaknath case it was held that fundamental rights are transcendental, cannot be amended, right? So that time the government brought in these amendments to curtail the same, and it also made the president assent to amendment of bills, right? Especially the constitutional amendment, it was made as obligatory. If you know, for various bills, whether the financial bill, money bill, or constitutional amendment bill, the president cannot sit on the bill of a constitutional amendment, or he just has to give an accent only. So it is made as obligatory. Important questions can be found on this statement. Then we had the 26th amendment in 1971, which removed the privy purses. There were princely states and the rulers, and they were given remunerations from the center, and it was removed in 1971 via 26th amendment. Important. And the most important, the 42nd constitutional amendment happening in 1976. It is also called as mini constitution because the kind of changes that were brought in, it literally changed the constitution to a great extent. So we will discuss some pointers in that. Just before this, this amendment was brought in post the 1975 national emergency under Indira Gandhi, right? So the whole idea was there was a lot of centralizing tendency. The then Janata Party was opposing, and the Congress Party headed by Indira Gandhi was centralizing the whole system. Okay, so that was the background, and Parliament was kept beyond judicial review. So a lot of judiciary was put down, and legislature, especially the ruling government, become very powerful, and added 3 new words. If you remember, there were other centralizing tendencies, mostly driven by socialistic principle. We had secular and integrity, and social, secular, and integrity. There were 3 socialistic principles adopted within the preamble. that were included. Then added fundamental duties, again in line with the socialistic principles, alike Russia, the then USSR. Then made the president bound by the cabinet. You see, it was said that even the cabinet did not know that there was a emergency in the country. So that kind of centralizing tendencies were seen during these days. Shifted 5 subjects. Some important subjects were shifted from concurrent state list to concurrent list, so that the center can exercise a lot of power in amending or implementing laws under these lists. Also provided creation of the All India Judicial Services. Beyond all this centralizing tendencies, there were some good governance based decisions were also made. There were provisions given for All India Judicial Services creation, right. Then there were also administrative tribunals that were formed, because there was a lot of backlog of cases in the mainstream judicial systems like courts, and therefore administrative tribunals were formed for speedy redressal of the cases. Now, post the 42nd amendment, there were various 2 other amendments came in, just to undo all the unwanted or centralizing tendency based amendments that were brought in under 42 Amendment Act. So it omitted many articles which were brought in via 42nd Constitutional Amendment. It also restored the court's curtailed powers of judicial review, etc., which were brought in again by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Now in 44th, there were some other amendments that were brought, that especially Article 20 and 21, which was suspended during national emergency. Right, we have these 2 very important, especially see within articles we have the golden triangle, right? Golden triangle, where we have Article 14, Article 19, and Article 21. Article 14, rule of law. Article 19, right to freedom of speech and expression. Article 21, right to life and personal liberty. So they are mostly curtailed during national emergency, and Article 20 is regarding accused during in a case. So various provisions were were given under 20 for safeguarding the fundamental rights of an accused person in a particular case, and they were suspended during emergency. And to undo those things, various amendments were brought. The legal right to property, right, that was the right to property under 31, was changed from the fundamental right and shifted into Article 30A, reinserted, and it was just given as a status of legal right under Constitution. Very important. Questions came on this in UPSC in previous years. Constitutional protection to publication of certain newspapers, of course, by Parliament and state legislatures. It also restored the power of judicial review, right, especially in election of president, governors, and Lok Sabha speaker, right. So these were the happenings that happened in 42nd and post the 42nd amendment, namely under 43 and 44th amendments. Now we have one more important amendment called 52nd Constitutional Amendment, which added the 10th schedule, namely the anti-defectional principles, right, we have under the schedule 10, shifting from one party to the other, court turning, Ayaram Gayaram principles, and all other political mischief that were happening, mischievous behavior that were occurring. To curb that, 52nd Constitutional Amendment was brought in 1985. Then 61st Constitutional Amendment we have, which reduced the age of voting from 21 to 18, right. Earlier it was 21, and now it was brought to 18 years under the principle of universal suffrage. Then we have the 73rd important and 74th also important, which gave the Panchayati Raj institutions the constitutional status, and inserted part 9 of Constitution, right. And 74th amendment both came in 92 only, which included again urban local bodies like municipalities, municipal corporations under part 9A. We have part 9B also, which is for cooperatives, right? Like that. Then we have the 79th Constitutional Amendment Act, which came and which extended the reservation of SC STs in the Lok Sabha and other to Anglo Indians, because there was a significant population post the Britishers left India. So to give representation for them, there was a provision given, and it extended for 60 years in future. Like that, the provision was made in 79th Amendment in 1999. And 86th Amendment, which came in 2002, it very important. It gave the education for the child between the age of 6 to 14 years. Eventually, it led to the formation, led to the RTA Act, which came in 2008, right to education. So this was brought in 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. We have Article 21A also in line with this. So 93rd Amendment, which came in 2005, provided 27% reservation for OBCs, right? So basically we have SCs given 15% reservation, STs 7.5, and OBCs 27. Basically the total reservation that comes is 49.5, right? And there was provision should not cross more than 50%. But eventually we'll discuss that when the EWS reservations came, the 50% capping is already breached. Yes. Then the 97th Constitutional Amendment we have, which came in 2011, which inserted Article 19 Clause C regarding the cooperatives, right? Cooperatives, societies was specially inserted in Article 19 Clause C. And 98th Amendment, which came in 2012, we had the special provisions for Hyderabad Karnataka region under Article 371J during Pranab Mukherjee's time, who was the president then. So basically we have the special provisions, right, under Article 371, starting with Nagaland. Starting with Nagaland 371. Nagaland, and it goes till 371J, especially the region where the region of Hyderabad Karnataka, because the Nizams were ruling the Hyderabad region, and under Operation Polo they were made to leave this place, and especially certain areas like Bidar, Gulbarga, Yadgiri, these regions were not very well developed, and therefore to bring in that to curb on the social educational backwardness, various provisions and safeguards are given under 371 in terms of education, in terms of posting in government jobs, etc. Or even separate bodies being formed as Hyderabad Karnataka Development Authority, like that, within Karnataka state. So this was important, which happened in 98th Amendment 2012. We have the 99th Constitutional Amendment happening in 2014, which came with the formation of National Judicial Appointment Committee, right? So we had, if you remember, the judges cases: first judges case, second judges case, third judges case, and fourth judges case. In the first judges case, basically the point was regarding the appointment and transfer of the judges of the courts, right? So the advice of CJI on the president was not binding on the president earlier. This was during the first judge's case. In the second judge's case, under the collegium system and in the principle of law of primacy of judiciary, it was made as binding. And during the third judge's case, as a body, regarding the transferring of the judges, a collegium system was formed. If you remember, and then the NJSC Act came, and the NJSC body was formed, a separate body to elect, to appoint the way and transfer the judges. And it was in the fourth judges case was held unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, and was said it was null and void, in line with keeping the independence of judiciary which is the basic structure of constitution, right? So, and totally it was proven null and void by the Supreme Court. Important, very important. The 99th amendment happened in 2014, and the 100th amendment in 2015. We have the land boundary agreement between India and Bangladesh, right? So basically we have India and the Bangladesh, right? So right, so India and Bangladesh, there were some various places which were not very clearly having a land boundary between Bangladesh and India, and there were a lot of tussles happening between the two nations. Therefore a treaty was brought in, and various areas were given to Bangladesh and India. That happened in 100th amendment, right? And 101 amendment, we have the GST Council formed under Article 279A, right? Very important. Then we have 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act happening in 2018, which gave the constitutional status for the National Commission for Backward Classes under Article 338 B. We have National Commission for SCs, STs, and then the backward classes was introduced, 338, 338A and 338B, like that. Then under 103 amendment, which happened in 2019, which is also called as 125th amendment bill. Sometimes questions come in the name of bill, naming the bill, or it come in the name of act also. So just keep that in mind, which gave the 10% reservation for the EWS. If you remember, we just discussed 49.5% was there, including SCs, STs and OBCs, right? Now 10 more percent was added in 2019 under Modi government, and it came around 59.5%, and it also inserted a separate clause under 16.6. We have the 104th amendment happening in 2019 only, which is also called 126th amendment bill, which extended the reservation for SCs and STs for 10 more years, right? And also in the meantime, the 2 seats which were reserved for the Anglo-Indians was also removed, right? Then we have the 104th Amendment Act coming in 2019 only, which is also called as 127th, I think. Yeah, Amendment Bill. I think there was some mistake here. Okay, which gave ST reservation extended for 10 years. I think this is the same thing. It's repeated. Okay, fine. 127th. So, and we have 105 amendment happening in 2021, which is called as right, 128th amendment bill also, which actually revived the power of state governments to identify the social and educationally backward classes. See, earlier the other backward classes are also called as socially educational and backward classes, because the backwardness is mainly based on social and educational, right? It is never meant economical, although the eventual consequence is economical, but it is not directly economical. Therefore EWS was brought in. But with respect to social and educational backwardness, when it came to OBCs, earlier the listing, the entries, all this power and authority was under the union government. Now the power was transferred to the state and the union territories. So this happened under 105th amendment, also called as 127th amendment bill, right? And we have the last 106th amendment happened right recently in 2024, I think. Yeah, 23, 24. Yeah, so this gave the reservation 33.3%, which is 1/3 of the reservation in Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies for women for the period of 15 years. Important. So this happened recently. Questions can come around this also, right? And we have certain previous years questions. Let's take one by one and try to solve. A bill amending the we have the statements here. Statement first: a bill amending the constitution requires a prior recommendation of the President of India. This is the constitutional amendment bill. Does it require a prior recommendation? We know that as president cannot directly, neither he can sit on the bill, he just have to give an assent for the amendment bill. Other bills he can choose accordingly, but for constitutional he cannot. So it's a wrong statement. Correct. Then when the constitutional amendment bill is presented in to the president of India, it is obligatory for the president to give his assent. Yes. Sometimes actually these two statements are opposite in nature, so one of them can be wrong. So in that way you can attempt this question. A constitution amendment bill must be passed by both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, right? So when it comes to passing the amendment bill, as with special majority it happens, it can be passed either in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. So with a special majority, and there is no provisions for joint sitting. So this statement is correct, but there is no provision for joint sitting. Yes, there is no provision because they have to separately passed. So this is also correct. So the answer would be 2 and 3, not this, because 1 is not correct. So this will go, and the B option is correct. Next question will have consider the following statements. The 44th amendment to the Constitution of India introduced in the an article placing the election of Prime Minister beyond the judicial review. Okay, possible, but did they introduce an article? Little fishy here. Okay, let us see. Supreme Court of India struck down the 99th amendment to the Constitution of India as being violative of independence of judiciary. Yes, we discussed the NJSC, right? So 2 is correct, but about 1 it also seems correct, but I am little doubtful on the introduction of an article. There were provisions, but there were no separately articles as such. So UPSC kind of get an article, so it should. So I am going with this as not correct, and 2 is correct, so answer would be 2 only. Next question we have, Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in what? Okay, in the matter of creating new all India services. No, I think when it comes to creating all India services, Rajya Sabha has the authority, right? Then amending the constitution, yes, both have, right? Yeah, it can be passed in either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha with a special majority. This seems correct. This is not correct. This seems correct. And the removal of the government, no. This has to happen in Lok Sabha only with the confidence motion and all. So this is not correct. Making cut motions regarding the allocation of budgets. So mostly this happens in Lok Sabha only. There is no equal powers here. So mostly the answer is B only. Right. Next question we have, right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of right to life. Yeah, Article 21, right? If you remember, and the personal liberty. Okay. Following which of the following in the Constitution correctly and appropriately imply the above statement? Okay, we clearly have Article 21, so here it is. Okay, then Article 14, rule of law and all other things. 42nd was amendment, it greatly brought down the Article 21 principles, right? So this was wrong. Article 21 clearly given here. Article 24 we have provisions, right? Various provisions under 44th amendment. This is also not correct. This is regarding untouchability in others. Part 4, no. DPSP, no. So clear answer C, right? So like this. So this is all with respect to various constitutional amendment, and try to remember them and try to get a hold. In the upcoming session on the prelim synthesis, we will have various Supreme Court judgments. Various questions can also come regarding the judgments, so we will discuss that. And you can find the PDF of this session in the Telegram group. Thank you.